Hello, welcome back to another episode of Taste of Grace. Today we're going to be making my dad's recipe of goulash, and for most people, that is noodles, beef, and a tomato base, but that is not my dad's version. He went to some event someday where he had this goulash, as he calls it, that had sliced sausage, potatoes, onions, bell peppers, and I'm pretty sure he said it had beans in it, but I guess that was his least favorite part because we've never added beans to it, and he's never tried to add them either. And so this is going to have sliced sausage. Any type of sausage will do. My favorite kind is venison sausage, which is why I'm making this. It's been a long time since I've made it. It's a very starchy dish, but we just got venison meat back. My husband shot a deer a few weeks ago, and we just got it back from the processor. So I'm really excited. So I'm chopping that, but you could use Eckrich, Hillshire Farms, any sort of kielbasa, any kind of sausage that you want. This is just what I'm doing. And let's see. Maybe I'll go ahead and I'm worried that this is going to not cook evenly. Look at what my mom got me. It's kind of annoying, but at least you can measure things. There's like measurements on the side. I don't measure things anyways, but kind of helpful, I guess. Let me go ahead and dump some of this in there. I think there's someone outside my window. And then I'm going to start this first because it needs to cook for about 20 minutes by itself before I add anything else. If you were doing, something that was just reheat and eat type situation, a lot of the Eckrich and the Hillshire Farms stuff is that way. It would probably be okay to not do it that long, but like I said, this is wild game that's been processed. After we let the sausage cook, we're then going to add in the potatoes and onions. And normally I would also do green bell peppers, but this sausage is actually a jalapeno and cheese. And my husband decided that he did not want to add bell pepper to that. So we're not. But normally it would also have bell peppers. And you'll see how I slice the onion, but it's sort of sliced in a fajita type fashion. Then the other ingredient we're going to be using is hominy. My dad's original recipe called for corn, but again, I'm cooking for my husband, not my dad, and he prefers hominy. So I have a 30-ounce can of yellow hominy, but you could do one of each of the smaller cans if you wanted to do white and yellow, or again, you could do corn, whichever your preference is. We've actually already tried this. We've already eaten, I think, just one package. Last night we had a package. It's so good. I'm so excited to try this jalapeno and cheese. And yeah, I think it's probably just the cheese, but I can smell it getting a little too toasty down there. This is a lot more sausage than I thought, to be honest. It'll be okay. It'll be sausage heavy. That'll kind of help with some of the starchiness that I was trying to avoid. I'm gonna throw this away. I'm just gonna go straight into the potato slicing. The funny thing about this is the pan's never big enough. It doesn't matter how many times I make it and how much I know this food is going to produce. The pan's never big enough. Okay. Oh, no, I feel like there's not enough light or something over here. Let me grab another knife, I guess. My husband has the flu, and so I'm hoping that I'm not being too loud because he's trying to sleep right now. I don't like any of these options. What does this one look like? This is a bread. Yeah, it's a bread knife. What happened to all my knives? Maybe this purple one? No, we're good. Okay, so normally I would cut the potato in half and then dice it this way, but these are going to boil for a little while and they're basically going to fall into pieces. So you can go ahead and just leave them in rounds. I may be making these a little too big. I feel like this potato is small though. Overall, this is a very simple recipe and you could season it and turn it into a lot of different things. My brother loves spicy things, so a lot of times he'll end up adding sort of like a Cajun seasoning, at least some cayenne pepper for sure. I think actually he is using Sloppy Mama, if you're familiar with that seasoning, and he will season it like I'm going to season mine with Lawry's. But you could also do like an Old Bay, and it'd be kind of like a seafoodless Tex-Mex gumbo. It's goulash. That's what it is. I feel like this flavor palette would also fare well if you did more of like a chili seasoning with like some chili powder, paprika, a bay leaf. That looks weird. And we don't peel our potatoes, but you can always peel the potato. Just going to be extra work. And I don't, even my dad, who will complain about peels being in mashed potatoes, has not complained about them being in this dish. I'm running out of room. I'm gonna pause and stir this. I'm worried that it's getting too hot on the bottom. Yeah, there's even a piece just straight up stuck over here. Suppose you could add water and chicken broth and make it more watery, but I don't. It's not a soup. Goulash. Sort of a weird mix of everything, but yet very distinct of what would be considered goulash. That piece does not look good. I'm not sure where that word comes from. I think it's interesting that so many cultures have basically the same thing, but we all have different words for it. When you're slicing the rounds like this, because you didn't cut the potato in half to give yourself a flat edge, you can, when you get closer to the end, and I just did it because I cut a piece of the potato off, but I'll show it to you again on this one. You can cut a slight piece off to make the bottom flat, and that way it's a little safer to cut. I don't care about knife safety, so I'm not allowed to cut with knives anyways for my mom. But so it's round right now, but if you just took a little sliver off, and you could still leave that in, or I'm just going to put it in the trash pile. Now it's stable. And you can finish dicing that. Okay. Let me throw these away, and then I've got to come back and cut the onions. So let me grab a bowl. Well, it's on my baker's knife. So I have the sausage on medium heat. I'm going to make sure that it gets up to like 165, 170 across the pieces. But again, if you are doing a sausage that only required reheating, you're basically just adding it to be reheated. I would still recommend letting it sit on the bottom by itself for maybe 10 minutes or so, just to make sure that you're getting it to the right temp. But you're going to have to cook these potatoes and onions, and so it's going to sit there for a while as well. So it's not as important to cook your sausage beforehand if you're just doing a reheatable one. Let's see if I can do this without crying. Usually I can't. I have a trick that I use, but it's kind of embarrassing and I couldn't talk if I did it. And what's the fun in that? Maybe I should have at least taken my mascara off before starting this. Oh wow, I just realized I can see the onion and peel the onion in the video recording, so I don't have to look at the onion. I should record all of my onion cutting sessions. It's kind of fun. So I'm gonna slice it down the middle here, and yes, I did just slice it through the butt. And then I'm going to make slices across, and I think I've explained this in a previous video. And you want to cut all the way down. You can sort of pinch it together while you're slicing, and you do have to, you know, come around the side of the onion and angle the knife. And then you'll just cut the butt off. Ooh, that's fine. And then you have slices of onion. So I'll show you again on this one. The onion's starting to get to me. Oh dear. It's too late. Uh-oh. We may just do one onion. Maybe I'll make it through two before I have to give up. Because I can't see anything. It is so, the little, I mean, they feel like paper, but it's just the outer covering of the onion irritates me so bad. I hate them. I would probably buy pre-peeled onions. Like how people can buy pre-peeled garlic. I would buy a pre-peeled onion. Okay. This is getting kind of bad. I'm glad that I kept this over here to dry my tears. We're getting real close with the sausage. Oh gosh, I can tell that my mascara is smeared now. Okay. I'm gonna cut this real fast. And we're not gonna make it to the third onion. The trick to cutting onions without crying is to take a piece of paper towel. Some people will just stick a piece of bread in their mouth, but I think that doing a paper towel, you fold it in half, you wet one end. Put the end that isn't damp, wet, in your mouth, and you just hold it there, and the wet end of the paper towel catches the sprays from the onion. There's a chemical in the onion that is attracted to water, and so that's why it makes your eyes water. Oh, buddy. Out of the way. I'm gonna stir this one more time. It's not a lot of onion. Too bad, I guess. Okay, so this has already lost a lot of liquid, no longer burning on the bottom, and I can see that it looks pretty done, but I'm gonna grab my thermometer and make sure that we're hitting the right temperature. Nope. Still got a ways to go, but see, I think like this one's gonna be 160, 160. Okay, I'm actually gonna see if I can't turn this up a little bit and make it go a little faster now that we've got some liquid in the bottom. Oof. You know what? I'm gonna try for this third onion because we have time. I think if they were bigger, it would feel like it's going faster. Close call. Nearly dropped that one. When I make my first cut, typically in the middle of the onion, I'm not going all the way through. I'm just trying to get through that first layer so that it's a little easier to peel off. I don't know that I've actually explained that before. And then you can cut all the way down. It really doesn't matter what kind of onion you use. I wouldn't use a green onion, but we've used white onions, yellow onions. I'm sure my brother has gotten real fancy and used a shallot before, but I'm not spending that kind of money on a goulash. I would say I've only ever used shallots in Italian food, in Italian recipes. When they're in season, it's not too bad, but when they're out of season, they get pretty pricey. Okay, I think the onion saga is over. I'm gonna go ahead and open up my can of hominy and my Lawry's here because I just got it at the store. Got all the way home and realized I didn't have half the ingredients I needed. So I had to go back. It's not on the burner all the way. There we go. It's getting pretty toasty in there. So you are going to use all of the liquid in the hominy. Don't drain it, or the corn, whichever you're using, don't drain it. And again, if you felt like you wanted more liquid, you could always add like a chicken or beef broth or a vegetable broth. This can is really tough. Oh, there it goes. It's finally broken through. Let me try and open this. There we go. This is going to be layered, and so you start with your sausage on bottom, and then you layer your potatoes. And I typically, you'll see, but I typically will do a layer of potatoes and then season those, and then another layer of potatoes, season that, and then add the onions, peppers, and then you pour the corn or hominy on top. It smells so spicy. We haven't tried the jalapeno sausage yet, so I may have to grab a piece and try it. Okay, I'm gonna recheck this. I feel like we've made a lot of progress in the few minutes I've done this, but there's 180. Let's try this one. It's a big piece. Oh, it's on the bottom, so yeah. I think we're there. Okay. Let's layer and turn the heat down. You don't have to be super precise with it. I'm just a little, I don't know, it's not even careful. I just am so particular, I guess. I want to make sure I have a good solid layer down there. The thinner the potato slices, the faster they're going to cook, obviously. So how hungry are you? How quickly do you need this to be done? I would say probably the quickest we've ever made this was like 30 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to do a layer of Lawry's. This is actually the low sodium. And if you really couldn't handle the sodium, if you were on a restricted diet or something, Lawry's is basically just onion, garlic, I remember it's chili or paprika. But you could go to the store and look at the back of a bottle and kind of get the same flavor profile and then just use a salt substitute. I think I'm only going to have 2 layers because I don't want to over season this. It'll be too salty, I think. So I'm going to put this piece here. Yeah. Okay. Another layer of seasoning. I know this seems to have taken a while, but it really is one of the easiest recipes. And then I'm just going to break these onions up and drop them in on top. I think I'm going to miss the bell peppers in here, but I know it's going to have a really rich pepper flavor from the sausage. Was my lid making a popping sound? That didn't get cut very well. Neither did that one. Whoops! My bad. You could, of course, grow this and add another can or some more potatoes, but it's already a pretty starchy dish, and I try to stay away from that for our meal prep, and so heavily sausaged. But that's basically the recipe. Um, my slices were a little thick, so I imagine it's going to take another 15 minutes on medium heat for those potatoes to really start cooking. And then basically from there, it's your preference. Do you want them to be completely falling apart? Do you want them to be maybe not al dente for a potato, but right there where it still has some hold to it? And then of course your the size of your pot is going to depend on your cooking time. But that's it. Let it simmer if you need to. This is one of those good cold rainy day recipes that can just kind of sit there for a while. Um, I hope you enjoy it. I hope you find the courage to venture out and change the flavor up a little bit if you would like it a different flavor. And I'll see you guys next time.